Hello and welcome to another Talk It Out session. And in this session, guys, we are going to be speaking to three single moms who are going to be we're going to have a discussion about what it is like being a single mom, some of the challenges, their experiences, but really the purpose of this Zoom is really to celebrate single moms because they're doing such a wonderful job of raising kids on their own, right? So let me ask each person to introduce themselves and then we'll kind of get started. This is Paulette. You want to start?
Yeah, hi, I'm Paulette Smalling. I have two children, two boys actually,
Okay.
32 and 21.
32 and
And
21.
yeah, a gap. And my profession is in the medical field. I'm a nurse practitioner.
Awesome. Thanks, Paulette. Edie, you want to continue with me?
Yes, thank you. Hello, beautiful ladies. I'm actually honored to be in the presence of such wonderful and highly spoken of by Christine. So thank you for having me. So my name is Imi. I live in Canada. I am Canadian. Originally, my background is Nigerian. If anyone's interested, excuse me, because I know my name might be a bit confusing. I am a single mother of two children. My son is 19, my daughter is 17, and been divorced 11 years. My background is I'm in profession. I am an IT project manager slash business analyst slash relationship and life coach slash everything. You know how we hustle as single
Yeah.
mothers just to make sure we feed our kids and pay bills. So yeah, so that's me. It's a pleasure to be. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so, Danica?
Yes, I'm happy to be here with you ladies. I am the mother of a 7-year-old boy. He's going to be 8 in a month. um, I, like any, I have wear a lot of hats. I own my own business. I I also am an author, and I'm currently in school to be a marriage and family therapist. So,
Oh,
Nice.
awesome. Just
Awesome.
that's excited.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
Excited, right?
amazing. Amazing.
Yes,
yes.
awesome. Okay, awesome. So actually, so we have like three people. I mean, me and Ini and Danica, who's into the uh, into the therapy coaching kind of field. And
Right.
Hmm.
of course, there's Paulette, who's
Well, I work at a psychiatric hospital.
you need
If
to
that
have
makes
some of that.
any cohesion there.
Right.
It looks like it was planned.
Right.
Uh, awesome. So, guys, I did a little bit of research before I came on just to kind of get a framework from where I want to discuss what it is like to be a single mom. And so I'm going to read it from my little notes here. And this was published actually in 2017 by Nidhi. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Nidhi Kowal and Bharti Prabhar or something like that, right? But I believe they may be from India. And what this title was Problems Faced by Single Moms. And they say that the emotional life of the single mother was also affected by their single status. Majority of single mothers reported that they felt lonely, helpless, hopeless, lack of identity, and lack of confidence. In the social sphere, majority of single moms try to avoid attending social gatherings, especially when they're mostly couples, and had changed their dressing style due to the depression some had, and also because of their eating habits. The majority of single mothers found it hard to maintain discipline among their children due to the absence of the male members, and a lot of the single moms complained about the trauma and depression, and found it difficult to handle the responsibility of the child care and to establish some kind of routine with their children. On the other hand, there was another research that was actually CNN. One of the CNN reporters did this, and he said, "Let us now praise single moms," which was more, uplifting. In that they did some research and they found that although two-parent families usually have more incomes and are generally able to provide more emotional resources to their children, when compared to a recent study looked at the long term effects of single parenthood, and the kids and found that it nearly had no impact on their general life satisfaction. And they said that the authors found no evidence supporting the widely held notion from popular science that boys are more effective than girls by the absence of their fathers. They said what they found was what mattered most was the quality and the strength of the relationship between the children and their parents. They also said that they found no evidence of a negative impact of living in a single parent household on a child's well-being, or their peer relationships or positivity about family life. They actually found that children who are living in a single parent family score as high or higher against each measure of well-being than those who always lived in two-parent families. One male participant actually said that I'd go further to say that there were benefits to being raised by a single mother, that it was foundational to becoming the adult that he is now. He said what happened was that although it required a Emersonian amount of self-reliance on his part, he got himself to school in the morning, figured out how to apply to college, paid his way through that education, and embarked on a career with no shortcuts or introductions. He said, in fact, because they were so poor, it made him more class conscious, even as he earned his way into middle class itself. He said his role model for what women are and should be was smart, strong, independent, and deserving of all respect. Even his childhood embarrassment was character building, he said, giving him a deeper sense of self-worth that is dependent neither on material things nor the opinions of those he does not admire. In fact, he said that right now he would praise, he would say that being raised by a single mom gave him that independence and that the way of really doing things for himself that made him a better person today.
Right.
So those are two different perspectives on being a single mom, right?
Right.
And I'd love for you to, for anybody to kind of say which of these researches more reflect what your experience was like.
I'm curious about the first author that you were talking about. You mentioned that he might be of not a Western.
It seems like the names were Indian. I'm not sure if they studied here because it was like a research paper that they did. So I'm not sure where they studied, but they were from, it sounded like Indian background.
Okay. I mean, I think that's an important aspect of the research because it being in Eastern society, especially in India, where single motherhood or even women that are widows now or any type of divorce, those things aren't accepted in society as it is in the West. So I think some of the things that he mentioned as far as, don't get me wrong, I do believe that there is some sort of level of depression that happens when you are alone. But this idea of being ashamed to go out in public or ashamed of, to a certain extent, of being around other people because of the way you perceive, I'm not sure if that's experienced as much in Western society. So I can say that I personally didn't have that experience as far as the shame part of it when it came to social gatherings. On the other hand, though, as a single mom, there are some things that I felt like maybe I shouldn't do, but I'm not sure if that's because I was single or if it's because I'm now a mother and there's certain things that mothers shouldn't do because of the way society has set up that role and those gender roles.
Thank you so much. That's a great perspective because you're right about where their experience of being a single mom kind of was derived from, because as you mentioned, in India, China, in those areas, it would be totally different. Even in I think in the Muslim country, it's a totally different kind of perspective that they have than it being single in the West.
Yeah. And excuse me, and the person who said that being from a single household made him more resilient. I guess he doesn't have anything else to compare with. I'm sure someone who didn't have a good experience might yeah, a bad experience might say, well, it's because I was in a, from a single household. That's why it turned out like this and can't cope. And, so there are different views. Yeah, he could have been from, a two-parent household and be just like he is now,
Right.
so one never knows. Yeah.
I agree. It's the same way that you may have a child who grows up in a house that is abusive, right? That really, that person will, one person, say two kids, one person will actually grow up and they will not abuse their kids. They made sure they did not abuse their kids. And the other person will grow up and just abuse their kids. So it's just two different types of two different people behaving and having two different responses to the same situation. So
Mhm.
totally agree. Ini?
Well, a lot was mentioned in that article. One thing that I wanted to actually verify was the author male or female?
Male.
Okay,
Okay.
and was he raised by, he
Both.
was male, right? Okay, so male and probably raised by a single mother because he talked about strength.
Right, right, right.
Okay. Oh, there's a bit of an echo. I don't know whether
I
that's,
know, I hear it. I'm not
all
sure.
right, two devices logged in usually causes that, but that's okay. Um, so I think that for us as single women, there are a lot of, and I'll say misconceptions, or maybe not a misconception, because people tend to put us in a box
Right,
and they expect that because you are a single mother, automatically you're going to be depressed and automatically you're going to, want to shy away from group settings and all of that. For the most part, yes, there are some things that are true about those statements, but what I'm trying to say is we shouldn't we shouldn't look at single mothers as the outcast of society, and we as single mothers should not look at ourselves as the outcast of society.
Mhm.
Because if somebody reads that, yes, they'll say, I expect a single mother to be strong and this and that, but you'll also be looking out to see, oh, is she depressed? Is she a
right,
recluse? Is
right.
she eating unhealthy? Is she this? Is she that? Right? So I agree with a lot of what was said, but at the same time, you know, there are some stigmas that come with being a single mother, and we have to be careful not to allow those stigmas to be to be put on us.
Right.
You
Right.
know, yes, so we have to make sure that those stigmas are not put on us. And it's not just because of the fact that I'm a single mother and I don't want to be looked at that way, but it's also because we have children who depend on us
Yes,
Mhm.
and who are looking at us.
yes,
And if they see that, or
yes,
if they perceive that,
yes.
then it depresses them. So it impacts their lives, right?
Mhm.
So we just have to be careful to kind of keep those, you know, those assumptions and stigmas kind of away from us as much as we can. It takes a lot of strength, yes, encouraging one another, God. But for me, I'm just like, we have to be careful when we talk about single mothers and generalize like that, you
Yes,
know.
yes, yes. And that's why I kind of focused on the two different perspectives, but still it does have a tendency to put single moms or I think it's just the way that people are. We have a tendency to put people in a box and generalize across different experiences. We don't, we don't tend to really look to individual experiences, and also each person is going to handle every
Right.
situation. Maybe the same situation, each person will handle it differently.
Differently. Yeah.
So it is really bad to really generalize across, different across different experiences and say this is what this is or this is what that is, because I'm sure each of you right now have experienced your single motherhood experience as totally differently than what maybe I just read, and even from each of you, right?
Right.
So it's really important that we don't uh, what you call embrace that stigma,
Right.
embrace that stigma. And if you're single, yes, but you're also a mom, you're
Right.
also you're also an entrepreneur, you're a nurse, you're a practitioner, that's just not your identity. Being a single mom is not your identity. And I really would like to really, for this particular segment, to just encourage single moms out there that not to embrace this identity that single moms, the generalized identity that most single moms are kind of like corralled into. But each person is an individual, just like everybody else. It could be a single father, it could be a couples. Couples are different too, and they have their share of problems. It does not. Sometimes it is this, when people are married, there's a different dynamic there too, because now two individuals have to agree. Otherwise, it now produces so much friction in the thing, and that is also not good for the children. So
Yeah, I have a friend who says she was single. She was a single mom during her marriage. Even
oh,
though she was married,
that too,
she
yeah,
felt like she was a single mom.
that too, that too. So definitely there are different experiences, and this is why I wanted to do this to kind of like showcase that single moms are all different, all have different experiences, and still doing the best job that they know how to do
Absolutely.
with what they have right now. So you guys, so if you had one word to describe raising your children as a single mom, what would one word be and why? There's somebody else on the call. Can you check and see if Paulette, to see if Javon might be in the logging in, because normally when you're somebody else, you can hear an echo, and it goes away sometimes and it comes back.
No,
So
what I was logged into another computer, but it's turned off now,
okay,
so it shouldn't be.
I don't hear it. No, but sometimes I hear it coming. Okay, okay, go ahead. So yes, is there one word that you would use to describe your experience as a single mom?
For me, I would say sacrifice. Um, there are a lot of things I had to sacrifice
Yes.
for the sake of my children. I remember, back in the days, I used to like to travel. I'm always in a different country,
Right.
and I had to give that up, for the sake of a child, to make sure the child gets the best education,
Right.
and you have to attend to their, whatever needs,
Right.
medical, etc. So
Right.
there are a lot of things, I had to even sacrifice relationships
Right.
because I know I have to be in the best interest of my child. So, I don't regret it,
Right.
but they were necessary sacrifices.
It's part of the process. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Paulette, I have to say that not a lot of mothers would think like you, right? So I want to applaud you for that you were willing to sacrifice for the good of your children, what they needed at this time, because there are a lot of moms who will just continue doing what they're doing and the children will come, later on, or whatever is left over. You know what
Or
I'm saying?
sacrifice and then regret it.
Or
Yeah.
sacrifice
But,
and about the whole time, complain and whatever it might be. So yes, so thank you for sharing that. You guys, anybody else? One word.
You want to go ahead or?
You go ahead.
The word that first comes to mind for me is revealing. I think that motherhood forced me to figure out who I am really quickly and decide if that's who I want to be. Okay. I think
So,
having a child and I completely understand the whole idea of sacrifice, Paulette. I think that a lot of times though, women sacrifice so much of themselves because they want to be what society deems as a perfect mother, and they end up losing themselves in the process. And one of the things I was adamant about when I had my son was that I do not want to lose myself. I will travel, he will come with me. I will have my own business. I do not have to work for someone that I don't like because I need to get a certain amount of money in at this certain time because my son needs to, I changed the way I thought about what a mother is supposed to do. And I didn't take on the responsibilities that society decides that I need to take on because I'm doing this by myself. So motherhood for me was very revealing. It made me buckle down and figure out what are the things that I want, what are the things that I want for my son to want, and for my son to feel safe being, doing, feeling, and how can I create my life to make sure that both of us end up okay at the end of this mother-son process, which lasts forever, right? So it was revealing for me.
Yes, yes. Jeannie?
Perfect. So for me, I mean, I will piggyback on both Paulette and Danica in terms of revelation and sacrifice. But my word is strength. Being left alone with two children, you know, the last time my ex spoke to them was probably 2013. His choice. He did it his choice, right? So so I was left alone with two children. I had to fend for myself and make sure that the kids had a balanced lifestyle or a balanced life and a balanced upbringing. So financially, emotionally, and otherwise, it's strength. I had to be strong. I had to be strong for myself. I had to be strong for them.
Yes.
Because I was all they had.
Right.
I was the only one. So even, you know, when I felt like giving up, I just had to be strong because I knew that those little ones at the time, they depended on me 100%.
Right.
So strength.
Right. That follow up on that question, Ini, I don't know if you want to continue, but
Yeah.
how would you said you did this alone? So I'm assuming that maybe you didn't have an extended family here that may have been able to step in when you needed some kind of a reprieve, a little help, you know,
Right.
what it might be. Can you?
Right. Yeah, so most of my family is back home. I do have one brother here, but he's not even in the same city and he has his own
Right.
issues, his own stuff. So, but and he's younger too. So I was pretty much on my own, right? So coping, the one thing, honestly, and this is not a ding against any religion or belief system or anything like that, but for me, I'm a Christian.
Right.
And being a Christian and having faith in God really upheld me. It kept me.
Yes.
It's not like I was 100% like sailing smoothly through my life. No, but I did draw my strength from God. I mean, there's just no other way I would have done it because I was by myself. Like
Yes.
I was really by myself. And being the kind of person that I am, I'm not really one, unfortunately, I have a firstborn syndrome. It's hard for us to ask for help. We're the ones who always help others and do stuff for people. So we're the ones who are always helping and doing stuff. So I typically would not be asking for help. But I do have a few friends and family, like if they notice, they'll be like, hey, do you need help with this? Or I can help you with this. So they would offer, right? But it's honestly, I will say that God really helped me a lot. And I did have a few close family like extended, and a few friends who would once in a while would come to my rescue and say, hey, you know what, you need a break? I'll watch the kids, you know, whatever, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing, I know we want to be strong, and especially when someone tell us, you know, you're doing a good job, and then you tend to want to prove that you're strong. But it's okay sometimes not to be strong, you know, to ask for help when it's needed.
Yeah. And honestly, even with the few times like I would even ask for help, I would, like, you know how sometimes people who are always asking for help, I have a friend like that, and it's like you feel overwhelmed, like, okay, what now, right? So I never, in all honesty, I never want to be that person, you know what I mean? So when I do reach out and ask for help, they know that I really need it. Right. And they are like quick to like help me in any way that they can. So yeah.
Anybody just want to share maybe the impact or the how maybe having extended family members or extended or good friends, somebody who is there to kind of help you pick up the pieces sometimes when you feel like you're just frazzled and need help. Anybody want to share?
The hardest thing for me is raising children, you know, I have two boys, is to be consistent. It is so important, you know, to be consistent, but sometimes you're just tired. You're just tired. You can't follow the same rules all the time. My neighbor was reminding me, she was passing by and saw my son throwing a tantrum on the lawn. I guess he probably was laying down and kicking and whatever. And she drove up, stopped the car, and said, Cameron, get up, behave yourself. And he just jumped up and, start sighing and she said, okay, bye. And, she jumped in and helped.
Right, right.
She saw where I needed help because, before, when ideally you set limits and whatever, you just get tired sometimes of dealing with it. Yeah.
Because that's the thing about being in a single parent household, right? It's like when there's two people, one person can be the bad guy, one person can be the good guy. But when you're the only person, then you're always
The bad guy.
everything, right?
Everything.
And it's too much. It's too much.
Good cop and bad cop.
Yep. And you're not getting paid for either. It's just.
And it's interesting because people, when sometimes I'm on the phone or they'll say, why are you always yelling at your kids? I'm like, you don't get it. Like, I have to be like this sometimes because I'm the only one. You're not on the phone with me when I'm hugging them and loving them and having quiet one-on-one conversations with them.
Right. And you didn't hear me tell them 20 times. You just heard the ones.
Exactly. You only heard one side. That I have to be both. And you just happen to be on the phone when I'm this way, when I'm the bad cop. So, yeah.
Yes, there is a challenge to to not having somebody else there, but it's also good when you have maybe friends or family or neighbors in Paulette's case who can kind of pick up the slack or at least take them for a little bit so you can kind of breathe.
Right.
You can kind of breathe.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. That's important. Otherwise, after you can feel so overwhelmed that now you're so tired and when you're tired, you have a short fuse and you blow it. So if they don't do something that's really, really, really bad that you would normally react that way too, if it's just something small and you're just tired and you just like flip out, you know what I'm saying? So I totally, yes, it's really good to have someone where you can at least ask for help sometimes, take the burden off of you.
I don't think people really understand the impact support has, in whatever form that comes in. My mom, she used to be the director of a mental health facility, and one of their slogans was, oh God, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. It was, half the world is diagnosed with a mental illness and the other half just doesn't know it. And it's just this idea that we're all so close to the line. We're all so close to being pushed over the edge. And if we don't recognize that support is what's keeping the rest of us on the other side of the line, and the moment we lose that support system where we feel like we have no one else to count on, we're right there. We'll be with Paulette, as a nation.
Yes, you're so right. Support is really, really one of the biggest things that play a really huge part in just keeping you guys sane, keeping people, single moms or single dads or whatever it is. But in this case, we're talking about single moms. Right. So was there a time, guys, that you felt that you just couldn't make it? You just couldn't make it. This was just too much. This is just way too much. Was there a time that you thought that?
This morning, last night, last week. Sometimes I'm gonna lose my head.
Yep.
I mean, it's a constant, I think, back and forth. And I think that when we pretend like, oh, no, it doesn't happen, it's worse for us, like it happens every day and it happens by the minute. I mean, I call my son the Sour Patch Kid sometimes. Have you guys seen that commercial where it's like they do something naughty and then all of a sudden they're like hugging you and loving on you and you're just like, oh, but I love you.
Paulette, you have an experience, eh?
Fortunately, I have older ones.
Yeah.
But I don't recall, what was the question again? Is there a time when
you ever felt that you couldn't make it, you just couldn't cope? It was just too much.
Yeah, I don't know, while I was in it, I don't know if I ever thought that. I just know I just had to attend to whatever emergencies or whatever situation. now I'm looking back and I'm wondering, how did I do it? You
Right.
know, I just don't know. In certain situations, I don't know how I
Yeah.
found the answers, how I worked my way through. But
Yeah.
I guess I just don't remember saying I can't tackle this. I just did it. I just jumped in
Right.
and did it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, you any?
So I think it's not a feeling of not being able to do it. It's more a feeling of being overwhelmed.
Oh, yes.
That
Maybe
that's basically, yeah.
the question I worded a little. It should have been when you just feel so overwhelmed
Yeah.
Right, right.
that
Right.
you
So
could
it's
feel like you can't.
exactly, and that's exactly what it is sometimes. There are times that I feel, you know, I have these goals and objectives, and I know that I can achieve them because it's been many years, but I sometimes wonder if I had support from a partner, maybe the burden might have been easier, you know? But at the same time, you know, as I've been divorced a long time, so at the end of the day, in between then and now, I have had a few relationships trying to find some sense of normalcy in my life. But the thing is, sometimes you find that guys will focus on just you. And that is one thing that single people, not just women, but men should also be aware of in choosing a partner. Because where you find that you're going to get some reprieve because there is a partner in your life, it ends up that this partner is actually not really focused on taking you and your children as a combo. You know, they just want the fries without the burger or something. So
The burger without the fries.
right. So, but and that's one thing that we should be aware of, because and of course, having experience with that, you can tell when you're having a conversation with someone. And usually when I'm talking to people, I would always ask, do you have kids? Right? For me, that is an important question, because if you have a child, it in some way should play towards the way I'm not saying you're going to come be the daddy of my kids, but
Right.
just in the way that you relate to my children, it would give a sense of balance because you
Yeah.
have that experience.
Right.
I'm not saying come and be their dad. I'm just saying, are you able to in some way influence and maybe support me emotionally and otherwise when I need it? Like I have a girl and a boy. So sometimes you need balance. Like, how do I deal with the boy? How do I deal with the girl?
Right.
In all these years, honestly, even though that feeling of being overwhelmed and everything, again, going to God and praying and asking for help, somehow I've been able to navigate that treacherous path of being a mom emotionally, especially, to both of them, being a man figure for my son and having to have some certain conversations with him. Like when he hit puberty and he's coming to me, Mom, this is happening. What do I do? I'm like, okay. And we have these conversations,
Yeah.
so, but you just got to do what you got to do. Yes, I get overwhelmed. I feel tired. I feel like giving up sometimes but I can't. As I said before, and just like all the you ladies have said, when you think about those children, there's really, you just keep going. You just keep going. Yeah, because they need us. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. So, what would you say are some of the challenges that you faced? I know that you've mentioned a lot, but is there a particular challenge that you find that you personally had? It may not reflect across all of you guys, but what was it that you found most challenging, in this journey so far? For Danica, you still have a way to go, and Ini is in the middle, kind of like still in it, and
Halfway.
Paulette is at the other spectrum, kind of like on the way out. So
Yeah.
everybody's going to have a different kind of. But what is it that you thought might have been, something that really racked you and was really something that you say, oh wow, this was really challenging for me?
So you ladies all have girls?
No, no,
Awesome.
son and
Then,
it is boy and girl.
okay, because my greatest challenge, I think, is having boys. And unfortunately, you can't teach a boy how to be a man.
Right.
They stick to you till a certain age, maybe 14, 12, 14, they hang on to you everywhere. And after that, they want to distance themselves. And they need a male figure in their life. So, I had to draw from friends uncles, anyone, you know, males, because they need male figures.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely important for boys and girls actually, because really, even though the boys need their male figure to kind of show them what it is like to be a man, or what it should be like to be a man, what's expected of a man, the girls also need the father is usually the first male figure that the girl is, you know, gets experienced with as what a man is. And so if their first experience with a man is somebody who beat their mom or speaks like talk down to the shout at their mom and abuse them verbally, physically, and every emotion and everything else, that is what they expect that a relationship is going to be. And that is why a lot of young girls end up in relationships where when they get older in intimate relationships, they are drawn to these types of men because it was they saw and they believe to be normal. So it's really important for them to have not only just any man, but a good man who can actually
Yeah.
teach them.
Exactly.
But outside of the abusiveness, I always thought, because I didn't have girls, that it would have been easier, you know, just to go through the process with a girl.
Well,
Than,
I had girls, and I have girls, so two girls, and Ine, you have a girl.
I have a girl.
They
Yeah.
are much easier than boys, for sure. There are
Huh.
different
that's
dynamics.
what I thought.
Well, you see, again, I think it's also depends on the child
Yeah,
because all our children are different.
different. Yeah.
My son is so reserved and quiet
Yeah.
that he makes parenting so easy.
Oh, wow.
He's in his room all the time. He comes out, he does everything. He shovels the driveway, goes get groceries, cleans the sink, even though his sister piles it up with plates. Like he does everything.
How
He's such a gentle, like really gentle. I'm telling you, he spoiled me before I had her because she came and, as you know, with the teenage daughter, Christine.
Just turns everything
So
upside down.
it's a different conversation. She's a good girl. She's a good girl. But you know, once their hormones start raging, you know, it's a different conversation. You're having different conversations. But it's just the child. It's not about it being a girl or a boy, and it's more
right,
different
You're
right.
right. You're
character
absolutely
of
right.
the child that you have, I think. Yeah.
Some girls can give more trouble than boys, so you are
Yeah.
absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, it's really interesting because my son is he's more scared of her, I think, than me. Like if I'm sending him on an errand and she stops him halfway and says, "Hey Tito, can you do this for me?" He'll go do her stuff first before mine. What?
Yeah.
So
She's a tough one, eh?
yeah, but again, she's sweet. She's a really, really good
Good girl.
so, but it just really depends on the child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part for me has been unlearning some of the things that was taught growing up, and realizing that that's not necessarily the way I want to raise my child. So that's been hard. Because I do have a really solid support system. But what happens when that support system doesn't align with your way of parenting or your values and stuff like that? That's when things can get kind of complicated. For instance, I don't hit my child, but I have a Caribbean background. So
Yeah.
I was getting hit.
And Africans, well, I guess it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Share the rod and spoil the child.
Yes, and I grew up in a household where, you know, we got spanked, but I had decided, okay, well, I'm not spanking my child. I don't think that this is a method that I need to use. I'm very big on communicating, and so me and him talk a lot. We talk a lot more than I spoke with my parents at his age. So that's kind of been the biggest struggle for me is, okay, I get that this is how you did it, but this is my child. This is how I want to do it. However, I need your help. So please help me do it this way. And my biggest thing is I just don't want him to have to, I don't want him to have to spend 25 years trying to recover from my parenting.
Right.
And so that for me has been the hardest part, you know, because I'm constantly thinking about, okay, if I do this now, yes, it's a temporary action, but how does this look? How will this when he's looking back at this moment, is this going to be a signifying moment in his life that changes a part of his development? That's what I'm worried about at all times. So I'm thinking, okay, how can you make sure that he's getting the best possible outcome? So 20 years from now, when he's sitting with his therapist, is he bashing mom? Is he worried about, or is he thinking about something that I did or said that might have, that had a negative impact on him?
That is such a deliberate way of thinking about raising your son, because not a lot of parents deliberately decide how they're going to raise their kids. Their kids pretty much usually just come into the world and we just kind of do the best that we can, kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? That so
No instruction book.
right, yeah.
That didn't come with instructions.
But you
No
have,
hand manual.
right. But you have deliberately decided that you didn't want to follow the same track as your parents did in raising your son, and you've deliberately decided how you want to interact with him as a child. You're thinking in the future of what you want to accomplish. So that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I'm hoping that maybe also viewers watching this will also be able to take something from that, because it is important, because a lot of us don't, we grew up to and we followed everything what our parents did. We kind of just followed along with what our parents did and not decide, okay, was this way of doing it? The one thing I know I decided as a parent was that I never remembered my parents hugging. I didn't see that in my household, or any kind of a loving kind of a connection. I didn't see anything like that. They were just my parents, and I've never seen any little intimate nothing. So when I grew up, I was very sure that I wanted to show that to my kids. And so that was my deliberate choice to do. But, so I would hug them and really just, kind of nurture them. But I know that it takes, you can change. What I want to say to my viewers is that you don't have to follow what your parents did, or what was, what you experienced as a child, to further put that in your children, right? You can change, because not everything that was experienced was particularly good, and not everything was bad. So take the good pieces, guys. Take the good pieces,
Right.
and add your pieces to it.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what you want for your family or your child,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
I think there's always this idea that, oh, well, I turned out okay, so
yes,
fine.
Yeah.
And then again, though, you still have to consider, like, Christina, I understand what you're saying about the not hugging and all of that. I think my parents were a little, they were more touchy-feely, kind of, give you a peck on the cheek kind of a thing. They always showed love. And of course, I tried to do that with my kids as well. The only thing is, my daughter is not very touchy-feely. Like, she doesn't like being touched. She's a kind of very kind of standoffish kind of girl. But I have figured out, and this is just for you other parents who have a child like that, because it's not about you. It's just
It's about
don't feel bad. It's just who they are. So I figured out how to get her in and come in, and because she has those sensitivities. So I'm like, okay, can I have a hug? And then she'll like, oh, and she'll like fall into me. Something, or I'll just come and just hold her, or I just fall on her or something. Like, I figured out how to show her that without just not going to her just because I know she doesn't like it, because I want her to feel it. And there are times she needs it, even though she doesn't. So I go ahead to do what I
But
have.
what you're talking about is permission, right? You're asking permission to put your hand on someone else's body, essentially, right?
Exactly.
We have to get away from this idea that our children are ours and we can do what we want with them.
Well, yeah.
We need to ask them permission. Like, is this okay for me to touch you in this moment?
Exactly. Like, are you okay? Can I hug you? Can I, or sometimes I just, so, but I've learned to do that with my son. I just grab it.
Yeah.
Well, my 6'5" son doesn't ask permission when he throws himself on me.
Oh, right. Exactly. Right.
Oh, you don't get that respect. No.
No.
He doesn't act both ways.
No, it's one way.
Yeah, my son is very affectionate, 6'5", and always being.
And she's tall too. Paulette is tall too. You're what, Paulette? 5'9", 10?
5'9".
Okay.
So she's, she's not like, so I mean, I can imagine someone shorter. I remember I saw you with his a little short lady he was walking with one time. Oh my God, you have to see that picture. Just so hilarious.
Oh, Auntie C, Auntie C,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Let's see if I can.
yeah, it was hilarious. And she's like, "There's nothing down here."
Yeah, he's a gentle giant.
Yeah. So
Okay,
guys,
so on my challenges, I guess, because I haven't said not mine. I know we've been kind of been talking
Yes.
with each other. So for me, I guess one of the, I would say I have two challenges. One of the greatest challenges is second guessing my decisions for them. Because sometimes you think, is it right? Should I put them in taekwondo instead of gymnastics? Like even little things like that, you don't realize it forms their future or decisions that they make in the future, whether it's a college, college decision or where to go to school or a scholarship for college or whatever. There are little decisions that sometimes I made. I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have taught him how to play chess, or I should have gotten her to do this, or, you know, because you feel like it would have made them a well-rounded child or a well-rounded adult. So for you, Danica, your son is younger. I know you seem like you already have it together. Your opportunity to throw, you know what I mean, as together as can be. So, but you still have the opportunity to do a lot right now, because I feel like I missed out on making some decisions that I felt may have been better for them, right? And I sometimes feel bad about that, right? But I just feel okay. And I think the second thing for me is also financial, because I don't get child support. I don't get any kind of support from anybody anywhere.
Yes.
So it's huge for me. Money and everything to do with money is a challenge. I'm grateful, really grateful to God for, giving me the job that I have, and also the opportunities I've had to do better, to do more, better for them, right? And be able to save and invest and stuff like that. But financial, you think about it, I have two children going to college, right?
That's hard.
One is already in college and the other one is in grade 12. She's getting ready to go in. And you think, oh, have I saved enough for them? Did I do enough? So financial decisions are really like it. I know like Paulette her kids are grown and probably independent more or less. And Danica, I know that you're just kind of still like at that inception stage. So you because I'm in the middle, as Christine said, I'm kind of in the middle. So it's like, am I drowning, or like just trying to stay afloat, making sure that I'm able to balance everything,
I think in any relationship, it'd be a two couple relationship or anything like that, it would still be difficult to make. You're going to still question your choices that you make.
Right.
So this is like, it happens with everyone. So don't be too hard on yourself.
Right.
It's what's called being human. We're just human. We're going to question things that we did.
Right.
Did we make the right choice? Did we do the, whatever it is, that did we do what we should have done? Whatever. Do we have enough money? You're doing the best that you can with what you've got right now, and you're doing an excellent job. So guys, I know it's nearly time. I know that Paulette have to run out of here at 4. And I did
catching up with salsa.
Right? So I am going to, she's going to go salsa. She's enjoying her, her life. We all should try and do that, because otherwise we just, life is not promised. Tomorrow is not promised. We have to get up today and do the best that we can each day. But so what I wanted to do was, any last words of wisdom that you guys may want to share with our audience before we go?
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Paulette.
Paulette?
Okay. My last words is, when we start having, the moment our child is born, we become ancestors. A friend told me that, and I really thought about it. Yeah, we become ancestors. So we have to do the best thing we can do for them to make them well-grounded. And at some point, we're going to pass the torch to them. So we have to keep that in mind, because we have to leave a legacy. So, that's my parting word.
So be careful of what you're putting into your kids now, because that is what they're going to pass on to their kids.
That is right.
Yeah. Awesome. And Maria, or Danica, who want to go next?
I'll say what I'd like for single moms to know, or moms, dads, period, everybody, single, coupled, married. The moment you start questioning whether you're doing a good job as a parent is the moment you should take in, yes, I'm doing a good job. I think that bad parents don't have enough self
Awareness.
awareness to even question whether they're doing a good or a bad job. That self-awareness, that even care how your kid is going to turn out puts you above the level of bad parenting.
You're already doing a great job just because you're thinking about it. You're concerned about that.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Okay.
Ini?
And for me, I think just a few things. So love yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. You have to love yourself. As I said before, the way you are perceived to your children is the way that they will perceive you and perceive themselves. So you have to look at yourself through, because your children are looking at you through they're looking at you through your eyes or your disposition.
Yes.
So love yourself and make time for yourself. You need to rest and recharge. You know, just know that you're doing great and the kids will be fine. See, all this talk, all this chatter, no matter what we say, what we do our best and we leave it in the hands of God, our universe, creator, whatever you believe in. Kids will be who they will be eventually. And it's just for us to lay a good foundation for them. So you're doing great. Just keep going, keep going. And finally, in the famous words of Winston Churchill, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day.
Another day. Yeah, right. Bob Marley says that too. By the way, I found a picture. It's adorable. Let's see if you can see it. Oh, no, it probably won't come through very well.
Oh, the picture.
Oh yeah, but I can see the height.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, and his
helping aunt.
he's helping his aunt. You see,
Oh.
he's like twice as high as her.
It could be two of her.
Yes. For her.
That's
Ladies,
funny.
thank you so much for participating in this session, this segment. And thank you so much for sharing your heart. And thank you for taking the time out to spend with us today. I want to, my viewers, I really want to tell you that I appreciate you joining us today because I know that there's so much and there's this, what is that, football thing going on soon?
Yeah, football.
I know that this is not live, but still you can watch it whenever. But still, thanks for taking the time out to be with us to watch this video. And I hope that somehow you learned something from it. That's something that one of my guests shared would be something that will mean, you know, something to you as a single mom, or even understanding where and what single moms experience as they try to, you know, you get these children up and ready for the real world. All right, guys, so thank you so much. This is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor and your leverage for change. Thank you so much. And please like, share, and subscribe to my channel so I can make more of these. And hit that notification bell. That way, as soon as I upload something new, that you will be notified of that. All right, guys. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye, all.
Thank you. Bye.